Hello grade 9 students, welcome to the biology classroom. This is gonna be an amazing session full of new learning. In this chapter, I'll present the wonderful laws of Mendel. Throughout this session, we'll cover these objectives. Specifically, I'll explain the first two processes of Mendel, hybridization and self-fertilization. Children look like their parents. Traits are passed on from one generation to the other generation, as hair color, skin tone, height, and so on. But how does this happen? For most of human history, we had no idea how this happened. How traits are passed along from one organism to the next is the discussion of genetics. We must go back to a man named Gregor Mendel. But who's Gregor Mendel? He's an Austrian monk and a gardener. He studied the pea plants in his garden for over 10 years and wondered why they had different traits. Later, he became known as the father of genetics. Why pea plants? Because they have various multiple traits that are clearly visible, such as flower color, seed color, seed shape, pod color, and stem length. Let's start with the first experiment Mendel did. When he mated yellow peas with green peas, they gave all yellow peas in the first generation. Then Mendel wondered, why does the green color disappear in the offspring of the first generation? Then, when yellow peas from the first generation are mated or crossed, the green peas reappeared in the second generation. Again, Mendel wondered, why does the green color reappear in the second generation? What is the magic behind this truth? As we have known so far, alleles could be dominant or recessive. Here we have two alleles, yellow and green. Since the green color disappeared in the first generation, this means that yellow is dominant over green. So the yellow allele is symbolized by capital Y and the green one is symbolized by small g. The genotypes, which means the sum of alleles for the same gene, will be GG for the green pea, since the recessive allele expresses itself in the homozygote state only, and YY for yellow, since we do not have any green pea in the offspring. Then each pea in the first generation will inherit or get one allele from each parental pea. Therefore, the genotypes for the offspring will be YG. Then Mendel got these conclusions. When the parents are of pure race of a given trait, pure means that they have the same alleles for the same gene, the offspring in the first generation will be hybrid. Hybrid means that they have different alleles for the same gene. Also, he concluded that the trait which appears in the offspring is the dominant one. Here yellow dominates green. The third conclusion he derived is that all the offspring are homogeneous, which means that they have the same genotype, which is here YG, and the same phenotype, which is here yellow. He called this cross hybridization. For more clarification, let's solve application number 1 along with each other. Here we cross two flowers, white and purple. All the offspring in the first generation are purple. What conclusions can be derived from this cross? Justify. The first one is that since all the offspring are homogeneous, all are purple, parents are pure, and the first generation are hybrids. The second conclusion is that the purple allele is dominant over the white allele. Number 2, designate by symbols the corresponding alleles. Let capital P be the symbol of purple dominant allele, and let small w be the symbol of the white recessive allele. Number 3, write the genotypes of the parents and of the offspring. The parents are of pure race, so their genotypes will be WW for the white flower, PP for the purple, and PW for the offspring since they are hybrids. Number 4, what is the name of this cross? Of course, it is called hybridization. Now, when the parents are pure of a given trait, all the offspring in the first generation will be hybrid for this trait. Now, What if two hybrid flowers from the first generation are mated or crossed? So now we are crossing two hybrid flowers of genotypes PW each. What might be the phenotypes of the offspring in the second generation? As we know, each flower will get an allele from each parental flower, a paternal allele and a maternal allele. For more illustration, the flowers might get a P allele from the male parent and another P allele from the female parent, or they might get a P allele from the male parent and another W allele from the female parent. The third possibility might be they get W allele from the male parent and P allele from the female parent. The fourth possibility can be W from the male and another W from the female parent. These are the possible genotypes of the second generation. The phenotypes will be accordingly P 3 out of 4 and W 1 out of 4. To simplify this idea, we'll analyze all of these data by using what is called a Punnett square. Now, let's do the factorial analysis of the previous data. We start with the genotypes of the parents, which are PW, PW. Suppose this is the male and this one is the female. These are the symbols of male and female. The second step is the gametes of the parents. Half of them will carry the P allele and the other half will carry the W allele. Similarly for the gametes of the female. The third step is to write the percentages of the gametes. 50% of them will carry the P allele and the other 50% will carry the W allele. Similarly for the female. Now we draw the Punnett square. We divide the first cell to half and we put the symbols of male and female in each half. Now we move the male gametes with their percentages next to the male symbol. And we move the female gametes with their percentages to their correct position. Then we close the table. Upon fertilization, male gametes unite with female gametes. The possible outcomes will be PP, PW, WP or PW, and WW. These are the four possible results of fertilization. Each one of them constitutes 25%. Now, we'll analyze these results in a T-chart, genotypes of F2 and their corresponding phenotypes. Now, we move all the genotypes under the genotypes of F2. Let's now find out the phenotypes. PW constitutes 50%. PP and PW will give us P, purple, in the phenotype, and it forms 75% when adding 25 and 50%. WW gives us W, white, in the phenotype, and it constitutes 25%. So the results will be 75% of F2 will be purple and 25% will be white. This cross between hybrid parents is called self-fertilization. We explained hybridization and self-fertilization. Now, what is meant by monohybrid cross? These two peas differ in the color of the pod, while these two differ in the form of the pod. Here we are crossing parents or offspring differing in one trait only. This is called monohybrid cross. Before ending this session, let's evaluate our understanding. A cross between a tall pea plant and a dwarf pea plant gives tall pea plant in the first generation. So, tall crosses dwarf gives tall. Then you should have concluded that tall is dominant over dwarf, and since the F1 generation are 100% tall, which means that they are homogeneous, so the parents are pure for this trait and the offspring are hybrids. Let's see how to answer these questions. Question number 1. Designate by symbols the corresponding alleles. Since tall is dominant, then let capital T be the symbol of the tall dominant allele and let small d be the symbol of the dwarf recessive allele. Number 2. Identify the genotypes of the parents, TT and DD, since the phenotypes in F1 generation are homogeneous, having the same phenotype. Parents are pure. Number 3. Write the genotypes and phenotypes of F1 offspring. their genotypes will be TD since they are hybrids, and the corresponding phenotype will be T. Another cross is done between two pea plants from the first generation. The following results are obtained in F2 generation. 75% are tall pea plants, while 25% are dwarf pea plants. The questions are: make factorial analysis to verify the phenotypic percentages of F2 offspring. The second question is to name the cross. To start with the factorial analysis, step 1. Genotypes of parents which were TD each. Suppose this is the male parent and this one is the female parent. Step 2. Gametes of parents. We have two types of male gametes. Half of them carry the T allele and the other half carry the D allele. Similarly for the female gametes. Step 3. We write the percentages of the gametes, which are 50% for each. Now we draw the Punnett square and we move all of this data to it. The symbols of male and female, the male gametes and the female gametes with their percentages. Now we fertilize the gametes. They gave us TT, TD, TD, and DD. Each one of them constitutes 25%. The last step is to draw the T-chart of genotypes and phenotypes of F2 offspring to be analyzed. TT and TD give us T, which is tall, and forms 75%, while DD gives us D, dwarf, and forms 25%. As you notice, the results in the factorial analysis verify the phenotypic percentages of F2 in the given. This cross is called self-fertilization. To sum up, hybridization is the cross between pure parents. The result is 100% hybrid F1 generation. Self-fertilization is the cross between hybrid parents of same genotype. The results are 75% express the dominant allele and 25% express the recessive allele. And finally comes the assignment. Memorize the summing up, solve the applications again, solve exercise 3, page 154-155 in the support guide of biology. Thanks for watching us. Enjoy your time.